Good morning. Today's Bible reading comes from Judges 17 through 21. Right, let's get into it. There was a man from the hill country of Ephraim named Micah. He said to his mother, "Remember the 1,100 pieces of silver that were taken from you? I overheard you when you pronounced your curse. Well, I have the money. I stole it, but now I've brought it back to you." His mother said, "God bless you, my son." As he returned the 1,100 silver pieces to his mother, she said, "I had totally consecrated this money to God for my son to make a statue, a cast god." Then she took 200 pieces of the silver, gave it to a sculptor, and he cast them into the form of a god. This man Micah had a private chapel. He had made an ephod and some teraphim idols, and had ordained one of his sons to be his priest. In those days there was no king in Israel. People did whatever they felt like doing. Meanwhile, there was a young man from Bethlehem in Judah, and from a family of Judah. He was a Levite, but was a stranger there. He left that town, Bethlehem in Judah, seeking his fortune. Got as far as the hill country of Ephraim and showed up at Micah's house. Micah asked him, "So where are you from?" He said, "I'm a Levite from Bethlehem in Judah. I'm on the road looking for a place to settle down." Micah said, "Stay here with me, be my father and priest. I'll pay you 10 pieces of silver a year, whatever clothes you need, and your meals." The Levite agreed and moved in with Micah. The young man fit right in and became one of the family. Micah appointed the young Levite as his priest. This all took place in Micah's house. Micah said, "Now I know that God will make things go well for me. Why, I've got a Levite for a priest." In those days there was no king in Israel, but also in those days the tribe of Dan was looking for a place to settle down. They hadn't yet occupied their plot among the tribes of Israel. The Danites sent out 5 robust warriors from Zorah and Eshtaol to look over the land and see what was out there suitable for their families. They said, "Go and explore the land." They went into the hill country of Ephraim and got as far as the house of Micah. They camped there for the night, and as they neared Micah's house, they recognized the voice of the young Levite. They went over and said to him, "How on earth did you get here? What's going on? What are you doing here?" He said, "One thing led to another. Micah hired me, and I'm now his priest." They said, "Oh, good, inquire of God for us. Find out whether our mission will be a success." The priest said, "Go assured, God's looking out for you all the way." The 5 men left and headed north toward Laish. They saw that the people there were living in safety under the umbrella of the Sidonians, quiet and unsuspecting. They had everything going for them, but the people lived a long way from the Sidonians to the west and had no treaty with the Arameans to the east. When they got back to Zorah and Eshtaol, their brothers asked, "So how did you find things?" They said, "Let's go for it. Let's attack. We've seen the land and it is excellent. Are you going to just sit on your hands? Don't dawdle. Invade and conquer. When you get there, you'll find they're sitting ducks, totally unsuspecting, wide open land. God is handing it over to you. Everything you could ever ask for." So 600 Danite men set out from Zorah and Eshtaol, armed to the teeth. Along the way, they made camp at Kiriath Jearim in Judah. That is why the place is still today called Dan's Camp. It's just west of Kiriath Jearim. From there, they proceeded into the hill country of Ephraim and came to Micah's house. The 5 men who earlier had explored the country of Laish told their companions, Did you know there's an ephod, teraphim idols, and a cast god sculpture in these buildings? What do you think? Do you want to do something about it? So they turned off the road there, went to the house of the young Levite at Micah's place, and asked how things had been with him. The 600 Danites, all well armed, stood guard at the entrance to the gate, while the 5 scouts who had gone to explore the land went in, took the carved idol, the ephod, the teraphim idols, and the god sculpture. The priest was standing at the gate entrance with the 600 armed men. When the 5 went into Micah's house and took the carved idol, the ephod, the teraphim idols, the sculpted god, the priest said to them, "What do you think you're doing?" They said to him, "Hush, don't make a sound. Come with us, be our father and priest. Which is more important to you? Which is more important, that you be a priest to one man, or that you be a priest to a whole tribe and clan in Israel?" The priest jumped at the chance. He took the ephod, the teraphim idols, and the idol, and fell in with the troops. They turned away and set out, putting the children, the cattle, and the gear in the lead. They were well on their way from Micah's house before Micah and his neighbors got organized. But they soon overtook the Danites. They shouted at them. The Danites turned around and said, "So what's all this noise about?" Micah said, "You took my God, the one I made, and you took my priest, and you marched off. What do I have left? How can you now say, 'What's the matter?'" But the Danites answered, "Don't yell at us. You just might provoke some fierce, hot-tempered men to attack you, and you'll end up an army of dead men." The Danites went on their way. Micah saw that he didn't stand a chance against their arms. He turned back and went home. So they took the things that Micah had made along with these priests, and they arrived at Laish, that city of quiet and unsuspecting people. They massacred the people and burned down the city. There was no one around to help. They were a long way from Sidon and had no treaty with the Arameans. Laish was in the valley of Beth Rehob. When they rebuilt the city, they renamed it Dan after their ancestor, who was a son of Israel, but its original name was Laish. The Danites set up the god figure for themselves. Jonathan, son of Gershom, the son of Moses, and his descendants were priests to the tribe of Dan, down to the time of the land's captivity. All during the time that there was a sanctuary of God in Shiloh, they kept for their private use the god figure that Micah had made. It was an era when there was no king in Israel. A Levite, living as a stranger in the backwoods hill country of Ephraim, got himself a concubine, a woman from Bethlehem in Judah. But she quarreled with him and left, returning to her father's house in Bethlehem in Judah. She was there for 4 months. Then her husband decided to go after her and try to win her back. She had a servant and a pair of donkeys with him. He did. When he arrived at her father's house, the girl's father saw him, welcomed him, and made him feel at home. His father-in-law, the girl's father, pressed him to stay. He stayed with him 3 days. They feasted and drank and slept. On the 4th day, they got up at the crack of dawn, got ready to go. But the girl's father said to his son-in-law, "Strengthen yourself with a hearty breakfast, and then you can go." So they sat down and ate breakfast together. The girl's father said to the man, "Come now, be my guest. Stay the night. Make it a holiday." The man got up to go, but his father-in-law kept after him, so he ended staying another night. On the 5th day, he got up again early, ready to go. The girl's father said, "You need some breakfast." They went back and forth, and the day slipped on as they ate and drank together. But the man and his concubine were finally ready to go. "Look, the day's almost gone. Why not stay the night?" There's very little daylight left. Stay another night and enjoy yourself. Tomorrow you can get an early start and set off for your own place. But this time the man wasn't willing to spend another night. He got things ready, left, and went as far as Jebus, Jerusalem, with his pair of saddled donkeys, his concubine, and his servant. At Jebus, though, the day was nearly gone. The servant said to his master, "It's late. Let's go into this Jebusite city and spend the night." But his master said, "We're not going into any city of foreigners. We'll go on to Gibeah." He directed his servant to keep going. "Let's go on ahead. We'll spend the night either at Gibeah or Ramah." So they kept going. As they pressed on, the sun finally left them in the vicinity of Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. They left the road there to spend the night at Gibeah. The Levite went and sat down in the town square, but no one invited them in to spend the night. Then late in the evening an old man came in from his day's work in the fields. He was from the hill country of Ephraim and lived temporarily in Gibeah, where all the local citizens were Benjamites. When the old man looked up and saw the traveler in the town square, he said, "Where are you going? And where are you from?" The Levite said, "We're just passing through. We're coming from Bethlehem on our way to a remote spot in the hills of Ephraim." "I come from there. I've just made a trip to Bethlehem in Judah and I'm on my way back home, but no one has invited us in for the night." "We wouldn't be any trouble. We have food and straw for the donkeys, and bread and wine for the woman, the young man, and me. We don't need anything." The old man said, "It's going to be all right. I'll take care of you. You aren't going to spend the night in the town square." He took them home and fed the donkeys. They washed up and sat down to a good meal. They were relaxed and enjoying themselves when the men of the city, a gang of local hell-raisers all, surrounded the house and started pounding on the door. They yelled for the owner of the house, the old man. "Bring out the man who came to your house. We want to have sex with him." He went out and told them, "No, brothers, don't be obscene. This man is my guest. Don't commit this outrage. Look, my virgin daughter and his concubine are here. I'll bring them out for you. Abuse them if you must, but don't do anything so senselessly vile to this man." But the men wouldn't listen to him. Finally, the Levite pushed his concubine out the door to them. They raped her repeatedly all night long. Just before dawn, they let her go. The woman came back and fell at the door of the house where her master was sleeping. When the sun rose, there she was. It was morning. Her master got up and opened the door to continue his journey. There she was, his concubine, crumpled in a heap at the door, her hands on the threshold. "Get up," he said. "Let's get going." There was no answer. He lifted her onto his donkey and set out for home. When he got home, he took a knife and dismembered his concubine, cut her into 12 pieces. He sent her piece by piece throughout the country of Israel, and he ordered the men he sent out, "Say to every man in Israel, has such a thing as this ever happened from the time the Israelites came up from the land of Egypt until now? Think about it. Talk it over. Do something." Then all the people of Israel came out. The congregation met in the presence of God at Mizpah. They were all there from Dan to Beersheba as one person. The leaders of all the people representing all the tribes of Israel took their places in the gathering of God's people. There were 400 divisions of sword-wielding infantry. Meanwhile, the Benjamites got wind that the Israelites were meeting at Mizpah. The people of Israel said, "Now tell us, how did this outrageous evil happen?" The Levite, the husband of the murdered woman, spoke. "My concubine and I came to spend the night at Gibeah, a Benjamite town. That night the men of Gibeah came after me. They surrounded the house, intending to kill me. They gang raped my concubine and she died. So I took my concubine, cut up her body, and sent her piece by piece 12 pieces to every part of Israel's inheritance. This vile and outrageous crime was committed in Israel. So, Israelites, make up your minds, decide on some action. All the people were at once and as one person on their feet. None of us will go home. Not a single one of us will go to his own house. Here's our plan for dealing with Gibeah. We'll march against it by drawing lots. We'll take 10 of every 100 men from all the tribes of Israel, 100 of every 1,000, and 1,000 of every 10,000, to carry food for the army. When the troops arrive at Gibeah, they will settle accounts for this outrageous and vile evil that was done in Israel. So all the men in Israel were gathered against the city, totally united. The Israelite tribe sent messengers throughout the tribe of Benjamin, saying, "What's the meaning of this outrage that took place among you? Surround the men right here and now, those hell-raisers of Gibeah. We'll put them to death and burn the evil out of Israel." But they wouldn't do it. The Benjamites refused to listen to their brothers, the people of Israel. Instead, they raised the army from all their cities and rallied at Gibeah to go to war against the people of Israel. In no time at all, they had recruited from their cities 26 divisions of sword-wielding infantry. From Gibeah, they got 700 hand-picked fighters, the best. There were another 700 super marksmen who were ambidextrous. They could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. The men of Israel, including Benjamin, mobilized 400 divisions of sword-wielding men. They set out and went to Bethel to inquire of God. The people of Israel said, "Who of us shall be first to go into battle with the Benjamites?" God said, "Judah goes first." The people of Israel got up the next morning and camped before Gibeah. The army of Israel marched out against Benjamin, and they took their positions ready to attack Gibeah. But the Benjamites poured out of Gibeah and devastated 22 Israelite divisions on the ground. The Israelites went back to the sanctuary and wept before God until evening. They again inquired of God, "Shall we again go into battle against the Benjamites, our brothers?" God said, "Yes, attack." The army took heart. The men of Israel took up the positions they had deployed on the first day. On the second day, the Israelites again advanced against Benjamin. This time, as the Benjamites came out of the city, on this second day, they devastated another 18 Israelite divisions, all swordsmen. All the people of Israel, the whole army, were back at Bethel, weeping, sitting there in the presence of God. That day they fasted until evening. They sacrificed whole burnt offerings and peace offerings before God. And then they again inquired of God. The chest of God's covenant was there at that time, with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, as the ministering priest. They asked, "Shall we again march into battle against the Benjamites, our brothers, or should we call it quits?" And God said, "Attack. Tomorrow I'll give you victory." This time Israel placed men in ambush all around Gibeah. On the third day, when Israel set out, they took up the same positions before the Benjamites as before. When the Benjamites came out to meet the army, they moved out from the city. Benjamites began to cut down some of the troops, just as they had before. About 30 men fell in the field and on the roads to Bethel and Gibeah. The Benjamites started bragging, "We're dropping them like flies, just as before." But the Israelites strategized, "Now let's retreat and pull them out of the city onto the main roads." So every Israelite moved farther out to Baal Tamar. At the same time, the Israelite ambush rushed from its place west of Gibeah. 10 crack divisions from all over Israel now arrived at Gibeah, intense, bloody fighting. The Benjamites had no idea that they were about to go down in defeat. God routed them before Israel. The Israelites decimated 25 divisions of Benjamin that day, 25,100 killed. They were all swordsmen. The Benjamites saw that they were beaten. The men of Israel acted like they were retreating before Benjamin, knowing that they could depend on the ambush they had prepared for Gibeah. The ambush erupted and made quick work of Gibeah. The ambush spread out and massacred the city. The strategy for the main body of the ambush was that they send up a smoke signal from the city. Then the men of Israel would turn in battle. When that happened, Benjamin had killed about 30 Israelites and thought they were on their way to victory, yelling out, "They're on the run," just as in the first battle. But then the signal went up from the city, a huge column of smoke. When the Benjamites looked back, there it was, the whole city going up in smoke. By the time the men of Israel had turned back on them, the men of Benjamin fell apart. They could see that they were trapped. Confronted by the Israelites, they tried to get away down the wilderness road. But by now the battle was everywhere. The men of Israel poured out of the towns, killing them right and left, hot on their trail, picking them off east of Gibeah. 18 divisions of Benjamites were wiped out, all their best fighters. 5 divisions turned to escape to the wilderness to Ramon Rock, but the Israelites caught and slaughtered them on roads. Keeping the pressure on, the Israelites brought down 2 more divisions. The total of Benjamites killed that day came to 25 divisions of infantry, their best swordsmen. 600 men got away. They made it to Ramon Rock in the wilderness and held out there for 4 months. The men of Israel came back and killed all the Benjamites who were left, all the men and animals they found in every town, and then torched the towns, sending them up in flames. Back at Mishpah, the men of Israel had taken an oath. No man among us will give his daughter to a Benjamite in marriage. Now back in Bethel, the people sat in the presence of God until evening. They cried loudly. There was widespread lamentation. They said, "Why, O God, God of Israel, has this happened? Why do we find ourselves today missing one whole tribe from Israel?" Early the next morning, the people got busy and built an altar. They sacrificed whole burnt offerings and peace offerings. Then the Israelites said, "Who from all the new tribes of Israel didn't show up as we gathered in the presence of God?" For they had all taken a sacred oath that anyone who had not gathered in the presence of God at Mishpah had to be put to death. But the people of Israel were feeling sorry for Benjamin, their brothers. They said, "Today one tribe is cut off from Israel. How can we get wives for those who are left? We have sworn by God not to give any of our daughters to them in marriage." They said, "Which one of the tribes of Israel didn't gather before God at Mizpah?" It turned out that no one had come to the gathering from Jabesh Gilead. When they took roll call of the people, not a single person from Jabesh Gilead was there. So the congregation sent 12 divisions of their top men there with the command, "Kill every one of Jabesh Gilead, including women and children. These are your instructions. Every man and woman who has had sexual intercourse you must kill, but keep the virgins alive." That's what they did. And they found 400 virgins among those who lived in Jabesh Gilead. They had never had sexual intercourse with a man, and they brought them to the camp at Shiloh, which is in the land of Canaan. Then the congregation sent word to the Benjamites who were at Rimmon Rock and offered them peace, and Benjamin came. They gave them the women they had let live at Jabesh Gilead, but even then there weren't enough for all the men. The people felt bad for Benjamin. God had left out Benjamin, the missing piece from the Israelite tribes. The elders of the congregation said, "How can we get wives for the rest of the men, since all the Benjamite women have been killed? How can we keep the inheritance alive for the Benjamite survivors? How can we prevent an entire tribe from extinction? We certainly can't give our own daughters to them as wives." Remember, the Israelites had taken the oath, "Cursed is anyone who provides a wife to Benjamin." Then they said, "There is this festival of God held every year in Shiloh. It's north of Bethel, just east of the main road that goes up from Bethel to Shechem and a little south of Lebona. So when they told the Benjamites, "Go and hide in the vineyard, stay alert. When you see the Shiloh girls come out to dance the dances, run out of the vineyards, grab one of the Shiloh girls for your wife, and then hightail it back to the country of Benjamin. When their fathers or brothers come to lay charges against us, we'll tell them we did them a favor. After all, we didn't go to war and kill to get wives for men. And it wasn't as if you were in on it by giving consent. But if you keep this up, you will incur blame." And that's what the Benjamites did. They carried off girls from the dance, wives enough for their number, got away, and went home to their inheritance. They rebuilt their towns and settled down. From there, the people of Israel dispersed, each man heading back to his own tribe and clan, each to his own plot of land. At that time, there was no king in Israel. People did whatever they felt like doing. And that is it for this Bible reading. As always, get in touch with God today. And here's something to keep in mind. I had read somewhere in one of my Bible studies that when we think about all the people that were massacred in a lot of these wars, these fighting stories that they tell us, to keep in mind that for the most part, no innocents were ever killed. These were usually people that participated and followed along with the evil ways and also of worshiping other gods. All right, guys, see you again tomorrow. Everybody have a great day.